The sun hangs low over the pixelated horizon as fingers curl around rough-hewn wood for the first time. That endless day no music swells to mark this beginning no. Triumphant fanfare, just the hollow crunch of fist against oak bark 3 times repeated, accumulating slender logs like bones stacked. For some grim rituals erected not out of ambition, but necessity. The crafting table materializes with a dull but it's 4-legged presence, more tombstone than workstation as material reality condenses into predetermined shapes. 3 planks horizontally, 3 planks vertically transform into hollow click that will soon fracture stone. There's no artistry in this assembly line of pickaxes. Each stone head lashed to stick with fibrous vines feels colder than the last, less a tool than an obligation pulled from the grid inventory, the silent arithmetic of depletion already ticking behind every swing. Dirt yields to shallow pits dug without ceremony surrounding a box of planks lacking door or window. A coffin stood upright filled only with chests, gaping maw swallowing stone tools with indifferent hunger. Night falls outside with the whisper of spawning mobs, but no glass panes reveal their shambling silhouettes. The wooden walls exist purely as volume, keeping darkness at bay while torches remain stubbornly unlit in inventory, saving every stick and coal for deeper shadows yet to come. Iron ore glints dully in the 7th shallow tunnel, its salmon and beige bands almost mocking in their fragility. 20 seconds of methodical tapping reduces it to lumpen ingots melted in a furnace that eats fuel with mechanical grimace. Nothing wasted, nothing celebrated. The iron pick's creation noted only by its heavier weight in the right hand. The staircase begins not with a decision, but an inevitability. Diagonal slices downward, each cobblestone block placed underfoot with metronome precision. Left, then right, the rhythm sensing with breath until even lungs feel geological. After 300 seconds, repetitions calcify into trance boots, scuff identical gray surfaces, muscles memorizing the 4-block turn at each landing. No variation, no misplaced step. Torches appear every 15th block, not to illuminate but to mark progress. Each hissing spark against the wall feels like betrayal of scarce resources. They're eroding orange halos, documenting depths like tree rings. Y 60 to Y 49 becomes nothing but sound echoing in tympanic caverns. Pickaxe chirps bouncing between narrowing walls. Layer bedrock unfurls unexpectedly, flat plains of unbreakable blackness, studded with random gaps like rotted teeth, each void leading to formless nothing beneath the game's logic. The narration explains without passion the procedural generation of this barrier to layers thick, except where bugged asymmetries reveal slivers of void. Coordinates fixate on -50. Eat the ceremonial depth where mathematics says diamonds cluster densest, where 8 adjacent blocks could theoretically conspire to hide blue veins. 0 decorations mark this hunting ground, no signs, no banners, no chests of supplies, just the endless gray and the weight of 3 iron picks left in hotbar purgatory. Branch mining commences without declaration. Shoulders press into freshly cracked stone as tunnel stretches to blocks high, 1 block wide, perfectly squared edges vanishing into absolute blackness. Eyes adjust to nothing, retinas throb searching for gradients in pure darkness, while ears prick at infinite subtleties. Dripping water somewhere distant, hissing lava undetected behind left wall, skittering silverfish vibrations through stone relays. 5-minute segments measured not by clock, but by pickaxe durability. 883 hammer strikes extract 7 stacks, 42 cobblestones, each percussive note flattened into white noise until even tinnitus fades to abstraction. Whispered statistics occasionally pierce the auditory void. Cobblestone drops at 100% probability, gravel 12%, flint 32%, diamonds 0. 17% numbers hang suspended in humid air like grotto moisture, the trance broken only by torches planted every 7th repetition. Left side always left to maintain orientation in the intestinal maze. Harebree never appears. Diamond ore emerges not with glowing fanfare but as sudden asymmetry. Blue flecks pebbled across cyan matrix, noticed only because the 27th branch tunnel's ceiling differed by half a degree of texture. 5 swings with iron pick dislodge the cube. No treasure chest sparkle, just quiet plink as raw diamond joins inventory slot 37. Voice recites wiki text tonelessly around, exhausted to a protein bar. Diamond ore is a rare ore found in Minecraft deep underground, primarily between layers 1 and 16, though it can generate up to layer -60 for appearing in Approximately 0.0846% of stone blocks below Y16 constituting 1.7 veins per chunk with average size ranging between 3.8 diamonds most commonly. The speech trips while swallowing lukewarm water time to avoid interrupting mining cadence. Crafting table placed directly on exposed bedrock eats to diamonds without ceremony plus 3 sticks from chest reserves the diamond pickaxe ignites no epiphany its indigo facets dull under an adborn torchlight. Last action before. Logout pause menu expands like ice across screen character freezes mid. Swing and blinking stare locked onto yet another gray wall save button press with same indifference as breaking 17th stack of cobblestone the geological process. Complete the cycle ready to reset upon next dawn's reload. And somewhere in persistent darkness an untouched diamond vein slowly generates behind unbroken stone perfectly equidistant between two abandoned tunnels its azimuth coordinates 00 carbonate molecules suspended in digital stasis awaiting heat and pressure that will never come again footsteps already faded from memory of freshly spawned zombies shambling far. Above through morning fog their groans muffled by 300 layers of meticulously quarried stone. The wind combs through endless plains of swaying grass that stretch toward horizons painted in muted beige and olive. Each blade catching the pale sunlight diffused through a featureless sky as your boots leave temporary impressions in the dirt path. Listen to that gentle rustle merging with the distant murmur of a breeze that exists only here in this digitally conjured wilderness, where every tuft of vegetation repeats in patterns so precise they lull the mind into tracing invisible algorithms with half-closed eyes. Watch now as the camera drifts downward toward the earth until individual pixels resolve into a patchwork quilt of green and brown squares. These humble grass blocks revealing their pixel-etched seams where dirt peeks through like worn fabric. And there's profound comfort in knowing this entire expanse was birthed from a single numerical sequence typed hastily by some anonymous programmer half a world away. These are the hidden incantations that spin forests from void and sculpt mountains from nothingness. Their mathematical poetry unfolding silently as the sun begins its achingly slow descent behind a thickening haze of lavender clouds, daylight softening like aged parchment while shadows elongate without sharpness across the terrain. All edges blurred into watercolor stillness as the wind's whisper yields to the first tentative chirps of evening crickets tuning their instruments in perfect unison, their metallic lullaby swelling as stars prick through the atmosphere's fading cerulean veil. No moon rising tonight to disturb the velvet darkness, wrapping the world in its seamless cocoon. Time becomes weightless here, suspended between day and night cycles programmed to soothe rather than shock. Until the ground beneath your feet opens like a silent invitation leading downward into cooler shadows where the air thickens with mineral breath. Your pickaxe bites into stone with muffled thuds that send vibrations up your virtual arms. Each swing methodical and unhurried as you carve a staircase into the planet's flesh, leaving behind jagged scars soon forgotten by the indifferent earth deeper now, where warmth bleeds away into subterranean chill and the last traces of surface wind dissolve into an echoing cathedral of stone, your torch casting jittery amber ghosts upon damp walls that glisten with unseen moisture. Listen closely to the architecture of silence here. Water droplets detaching from moss-furred ceilings to shatter against ancient rock slabs in an arrhythmic liturgy, each asterisk plink asterisk ricocheting through labyrinthine tunnels like silver coins dropped down bottomless wells. Their lonely echoes overlapping into a liquid chorus that drowns out the itch of thought somewhere beyond these sedimentary membranes, muffled as though buried beneath layers of wet wool. A zombie groans its perpetual lament into unyielding darkness. Trapped behind barriers your hands will never breach. Its mournful song just another thread woven into the cave's tapestry of isolation. Why rush toward conflict when there's monastic peace in performing the ritual exactly as generations of miners have done? The cavern rewards your passivity by unfolding its secrets in geological slow motion. Veins of iron bleeding through granite like fossilized lightning. Patches of gravel sighing downward in dusty collapses. And always the lava that thick orange syrup oozing through crevices with viscous determination. Its flow mechanics so flawlessly replicated from the game's code that you find yourself reciting its parameters like a benediction. Asterisk fluid viscosity 0.5, density 3000, temperature 1300 degrees. Asterisk Numbers melt together into a stream of meaningless soporific syllables as heat shimmers dance across obsidian pools where fire and stone perform their eternal marriage ceremony. Minutes stretch into hours measured only in accumulating cobblestone and the occasional hiss of torch flames devouring stale air. Back in the surface-straddling bunker carved from living rock, the true meditation begins. Inventory grids spread before you like Zen gardens awaiting meticulous curation. 60. For identical cobblestone squares forming conglomerates of pure gray potential, your hands move with priestly precision as they grasp each mineral orphan and guide it into symmetrical communion with its brethren within pinewood chests. Stacks ascending in perfect increments like Buddhist prayer beads counted one by one. The brass hinges creak their protest each time another container yawns open to swallow more fragments of the overworld. That familiar asterisk click dash thump asterisk becoming a metronome for your slowing heartbeat as order emerges from digital chaos. What need is therefore diamond finery when humble stone obeys the same satisfying stacking rules? Higher purpose emerges in naming rituals performed at the iron anvil where pickaxe 27 receives its inscription with solemn repetition, the mechanical clank. Chime asterisk of each renaming ceremony echoing 15 times into the rafters as if engraving the same epitaph on 15 identical tombstones. No variety mars this procession of tool rebirths. Only the hypnotic reassurance of cycles repeating until the universe contracts to this single square meter of torchlight and the breath caught in your lungs outside. Wind mourns through grass. Inside, chest lids fall shut in cadence with eyelids growing heavier than netherite ingots. The diamonds, when they come, offer no fanfare, merely faceted blue prisoners embedded in walls beside subterranean lakes that slosh their watery hymns against obsidian shores. Underground rivers murmuring lullabies spun from melted glacier memories. Your pickaxe lifts and falls with the same mechanized indifference it once reserved for common coal, its iron head kissing gem. Streaked rock and dull asterisk thunks asterisk that scarcely ripple the silence. No triumphant shouts pierce the muffled grandeur of this moment. No inventory checks to admire the loot. Victory has become irrelevant beside the engulfing embrace of routine. The furnace awaits in its dusty corner, already hungry for fresh fuel to transmute labor into permanence. Its iron belly crackling with domesticated wildfire orange ember eyes glow through slatted vents as you feed it logs and ore. Then settle onto cold stone to watch flames dance behind city glass for 30 uninterrupted minutes. Their flickering patterns blurring with each prolonged blink. Charcoal scent fills non-existent nostrils while furnace pops sync with stuttering candle flames across the chasm of sleep's event horizon. This is where the journey completes its circle, where digital fire and primordial darkness blend into a single continuum of comforting nothingness. Your hands finally still upon the keyboard as the screen's glow softens into oblivion's worn drift. Permission granted now to release the world entire and let eyelids fall like final chest lids. Sealing away daylight, enter the pure algorithm of dreams where wind still murmurs through infinite grassy plains and water drips eternal in unseen caverns. No monsters here, no tasks, only the murmur of machines humming forgotten lullabies inside a silent earth forever spinning beneath unnamed stars. The screen flickers to life with that familiar wash of pixelated twilight, the cave mouth yawning like a toothless grin into darkness, so absolute it feels less like absence of light and more like a physical substance pressing against your retinas. Your fingers twitch over the keyboard, not yet mining, caught in that sacred liminal space between intention and action. This is where the rituals begin. Every journey into the abyss demands preparation, a liturgy of small obsessions to ward off the existential dread of infinite depths. First, the hunger bar. Reduced to precisely 3 drumsticks, not 2, not 4, because 3 is the holy number that leaves enough saturation to buffer against unexpected zombie groans, but doesn't waste precious pork chops on mere anticipation. You recite this logic aloud like a prayer, voice flat and detached, as if narrating someone else's life. Next, the torches, always torches before pickaxe methodically placed 2 blocks apart. Their sizzling hiss echoing through the silence. 2 blocks, always 2. Any closer feels wasteful. Any farther risks pockets of shadow where monsters might bloom like mold in damp corners. Your cursor hovers, adjusts, readjusts, until each flame aligns in perfect procession down the tunnel spine. A silent count begins. 1001. 1002. The real-time versus game. Time calculus spills from your lips unbidden, a drone of numbers merging with the drip of distant water. 5 real seconds per in-game day cycle. 12 minutes to dawn if I dig straight down from here. 8 torches per minute at current pace. The metrics don't matter. What matters is the illusion of control they weave, the fragile armor against the void. The first strike of iron against stone cracks through the digital silence with startling violence. You flinch, though you've heard it 10,000 times before. This is when the descent truly begins, not just into rock, but into the labyrinth of your own mind. Stone yields to cobblestone, cobblestone to gravel patches that collapse in dusty sighs, coal veins appearing like blackened scars in the walls, their edges crisscrossed with pixelated fissures. Your movements settle into a mechanical rhythm, shoulder rolling forward, fingers drumming whilst in time with the metronomic clink 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 of the pickaxe. The world narrows to the 3-block tunnel ahead, the flicker of torchlight on rough-hewn walls, the creeping ache in your wrists that mirrors your avatars. Invisible exhaustion, somewhere around R2 is at R4. The line blurs, you realize you're reciting stone variants in alphabetical order under your breath. Andesite, cobblestone, deep slate, diorite, granite. Tough, tough again. No wait. The words lose meaning. Become pure sound. A chant to fill the hollow left by eradicated ore. You start over. Louder this time, voice cracking. Andesite, cobblestone. Deep slate, and somewhere in the repetition, a memory floats your grandfather's stories of Appalachian coal mines. 12. Our shifts in air thick as soup, bodies moving in the dark, not unlike your pixelated self, swinging phantom pickaxes against unreal rock. When did the Minecraft fatigue setting become indistinguishable from the soul-deep weariness he described? Muscle memory takes over. Hands moving while your mind drifts into research, tabs left open like digital ghost PDFs of 19th century geological surveys. Graphs of anthracite distribution patterns, black and white photos of gaunt men smiling beside carts of glittering coal. Then blue, always the blue first. Your breath hitches, though you knew it would be lapis. It's always lapis, that cruel electric shimmer that mocks diamonds' icy clarity. Still, the heart leaps. Still, the brain whispers, maybe this time against all evidence. You've cataloged 20 such deceptions, now 19 if you're being charitable about that one deep slate speck that might have been quartz. Each disappointment meticulously logged in some crumbling corner of your psyche. The third lapis cluster today emerges like a bruise in the stone, glowing malignantly, and you hear yourself make a sound half-laugh, half-sob as your pickaxe shatters its fragile geometry into powder. Lapis, you say to no one, voice still, again. Hypixel could graph this sorrow. You muse. An exponential decay curve diving through iron frequency down to redstone's maddening ubiquity, flatlining at diamond's statistical near-zero occurrence rate. Somewhere underground, lava burbles, or is that diamonds? You freeze, ears straining, there. Again that high crystalline chime buried in the liquid gruel. Your head whips left. Right, but the tunnel stretches empty. Trick of the mind, always a trick. The real lava field reveals itself minutes later, a glowing river cutting through rock like neon blood, and for one dangerous moment, you consider diving in. When it finally happens, you're too numb to celebrate. The diamond veins materialize mid-swing, a cluster of aquamarine hexagons glinting with obscene innocence. Your pickaxe hovers. Inventory check iron. Check. Obsidian for the furnace. Gone. Use 3. Hours ago on another failed nether portal whim. You crouch before the diamonds, the silence swelling like a living thing. Tool or armor? The question loops, endless as bedrock. An axe feels pragmatic efficiency, speed, the promise of more or faster. But armor whispers sweeter lies, invincibility, safety, the delusion that diamond plates can shield whatever's fraying inside you. 10 minutes evaporate in this frozen calculus. Then, bizarrely, you turn away. Leave them embedded in the stone like forgotten promises, back to the cobblestone. The safe, endless gray, nothing left to want. Nothing left to disappoint. Somewhere in the maze of inventory screens, half a stack of rotten flesh here, 3 cracked flint there, your eyelids surrender. The pickaxe slips from virtual hands, the mouse, still alive, captures every snore, every staticky breath, the mumble of andesite, tough. As the game world fades to the screensaver's relentless swirl. Daylight leaks around the curtains, a bird sings outside. The diamonds remain glowing coldly in the digital dark, untouched. The faint glow of torchlight licks at rough, hewn stone walls as we descend deeper into the earth's embrace, the muffled crunch of gravel beneath boots echoing like ancient whispers through shadowed corridors, but forget everything you think you know about diamond hunting. What unfolds in these depths isn't treasure hunting but disciplined earth science, a symphony of stratigraphy and thermodynamics played out in cubic geometry. Consider this pickaxe not a tool but a scientific instrument as we begin our stratigraphic observations. Peeling back Minecraft's crust-like pages in a geological tome where every Y level tells a story written in mineral tongues. Here at Y level -58, the air hums with the weight of overburden pressing down this basalt hand. Deep slate sequence mirroring Earth's own Precambrian shield formations where time itself crystallizes into stone. Notice how granite intrusions ripple through the matrix like frozen magma waves. Their peppered quartz and feldspar concentrations betraying Java Edition's spawning algorithms. Careful now. That gravel patch isn't just falling debris but an alluvial deposit whispering of ancient rivers that flowed through chunk generation cycles long before the Nether update rewrote sedimentary laws. Let's pause this descent to analyze Bedrock Edition's diorite bands forming rhythmic alternations with andesite. See how their spawn frequency shifted post 1.17 like some digital ice age rearranging primordial layers. Historical war distribution charts unfurl in the mind's eye. Copper creeping upward through geological epochs, lapis. Lazuli's variable metamorphic grades. Emerald deposits clustered like contact metamorphosis around continental shelves. But the star of our survey glimmers ahead in thermodynamic shadows. Diamonds may be a miner's fantasy, but to us they're quantum puzzles waiting for carbon lattice analysis. Feel the sudden heat ripple distorting the air. That's no ordinary cave mouth, but a fluid dynamics laboratory where lava flows like Fibonacci sequences across stone. Calculate viscosity coefficients as obsidian forms under our calculated water placement millimeter precision in block. Phase interactions determining whether we dance through safely or become igneous statues. Those torches lining the walls, don't dismiss them as mere light sources. They're calibrated thermal units radiating 14 lux warmth according to light level decay formula. Their very glow a mathematical firewall against hostile spawn algorithms. And ignore those forum myths about cave temperature differentials affecting creeper frequencies. The data doesn't lie. It's all Y. Access coordinates and procedural generation seeds manipulating mob tables far removed from ambient thermodynamic fantasies. What we crave lies deeper still, where pressure simulations reach critical thresholds, the diamond zones. Here near Bedrock's suffocating embrace, Java Edition's -59 too. 64 layers become our high-pressure anvils. Digital acrostakavite formations where carbon theoretically undergoes phase transitions mirroring Earth's mantle processes. Observe chunk borders like tectonic sutures. Those glitching bedrock gaps where ancient version updates left scars. Could these fractures create localized pressure spikes favoring diamond nucleation? Let's debunk enchantment lore while we're here. Fortune pickaxes fracture more crystal planes, but don't alter kimberlite pipe densities. Spectral analysis of ore clusters proving uniform distribution across seed variants. Now the real work begins. Documentation protocols transforming explorer into archivist. Unsheath that book and quill as to full Minecraft days vanish into coordinate grids. Each diamond cluster's XYZ position meticulously recorded alongside depth stratum classifications or matrix compositions, even adjacent magma plume proximities. That scratching quill becomes our metronome as we sketch orthogonal projection maps. Graph paper replaced by grid. Lined pages smelling of virtual parchment. Now deploy the slide ruler here. It's satisfying click whisper as we calculate optimal strip mine vectors accounting for ore density probabilities versus lava infiltration risks. Every 1:3 branching ratio refined through iterative efficiency algorithms. Recall those discontinued tutorial books buried in game files like Dead Sea Scrolls of mining lore? Cross-reference their randomized diamond rarity stats against our empirical data. Turns out Notch's original 0.0846% generation rate still haunts modern chunk population tables despite 15 updates of terrestrial upheaval. The torches burn lower now, their carbonized sticks mirroring the very diamonds we seek, both born from compressed time, one through swift combustion and the other through eons of digital lithification. As we emerge blinking into sunlight, leather-bound journals heavy with data. Remember, this wasn't looting, but earth science in its purest form. Every bedrock fracture a Rosetta Stone, every lava spill a Keplerian orbit, every diamond pixel a love letter from the universe's carbon cycle written in 16-bit geometry. So next time you dig, listen closer. Beneath the hiss of creepers and rattle of skeletons, the rocks are singing in the key of geology. The rhythmic thunk of the axe biting into oak echoes through the sun-dappled forest with the stubborn tempo of a metronome set to half speed. Each swing a meditation in delayed gratification as the durability bar ticks down like a whispering countdown. 40. 7 logs stand between us and the next phase of this great underground odyssey. Their rough bark yielding splinter by splinter beneath the blade's patient fury. Sawdust hangs golden in the shafts of pixelated light, catching the glint of a crafting table spun methodically through for sacred rotations. North facing the river's murmur, east greeting the rising sun, south aligning with the distant smoke of a village hearth, west watching the mountains swallow the daylight. Whole each orientation a silent prayer to the gods of symmetry whispered as identical tool sets emerge from the grid. 12-fold replicas of wooden swords and picks stacked with monastic precision, because the deep dark cares nothing for good intentions, only preparation. These backups are not tools but promises, pledges whispered to trembling hands turned claw. Like a round torch handles when the first distant hiss shatters the stillness of unbroken stone, and so we stack them like kindling against future despair. The crafting interface blinking its approval like a distant star chart guiding us deeper into the labyrinth of necessity. Day bleeds into night as cobblestone yields beneath the first stone pickaxe's kiss. Its rough surface a braille manuscript telling tales of compression and ancient seabeds, but wait. Asterisk andesite asterisk crumbles just a whisper slower beneath the swing. Its speckled gray face taunting us with geological obstinance, a half second per block stretching into mountains of lost time over continents of underground excavation. We become chronographers of fracture patterns, noting the slight catch in the pick's arc against stubborn stone until the shadow of the grindstone falls across the workbench. Its ancient wheel hungry for sacrifice. 30. 5 minutes vanish into the metallic groans of restoration stone, dust swirling like ghostly patrons in some silent saloon where shattered tools come to be reborn, fingers cramping from slotting fractured pickaxes into the healing slots. Each repair conjugating the verb asterisk to endure asterisk in all its tenses. And through the particulate haze, an alchemy of sorting takes shape, flints dancing like erotic fireflies into designated inventory slots. Every 9th cobblestone triggering the muscle memory of rearrangement, transforming chaos into mathematical certainty, because fortune favors the organized miner when skeletal arrows fly from unlit corners. True immersion begins where impatience ends, where the iron veins dictate the path, snaking through granite like rivers of whispered temptation. We follow their dendritic curves without shortcut, without blasphemy, letting the ore's logic sculpt three-dimensional poems through the strata, fingertips brushing cold rock in sacred tracing until darkness gives way to furnace glow. The smelting cube becomes a liturgy recited over smoldering charcoal. 3 ingots per ore, 16 furnaces humming in unison, each second of downtime filled with fuel efficiency tables memorized like scripture. 20. 4 seconds of burn time for a ladder's worth of sticks versus 30 for a single log stripped by axe. And between the ticks of progress bars, we succumb to the siren song of purposeless creation, crafting iron into hopper shape like hungry mouths. Their funnels gaping toward bedrock in perfect uselessness, A votive offering to the over-engineered altar of asterisk. What if asterisk? Because sometimes survival requires not just tools but talismans against the insanity of pure utility. But diamonds demand superstition. The 14th torch placement pattern materializes on the obsidian walls, zigzag for courage, checkerboard for clarity. Concentric circles warding off lava's greedy tongue, each arrangement tested with the solemnity of a gambler blowing on dice. When darkness becomes absolute, we swallow suspicious stew in gulping darkness. Mushrooms plucked at midnight lending imaginary buffs to trembling hands. Taste buds recoiling from the ghostly aftertaste of asterisk, maybe this time asterisk. Only to flee the mind entirely when whispers of hesitation grow too loud. Ascending into sunlight to tend sheep in manic sequences, shearing and breeding with furious tenderness until twin lambs bleat their approval to fall starts before the third descent, because the earth remembers cowardice and rewards only the truly desperate. We carry no maps, but muscle memory written in pickaxe scars, no compass, but the weight of 12 tool belts clinking like armor. No light, but the torches placed in fractal devotion, and somewhere beyond the last lava hiss, where bedrock hums its oldest song. The glitter begins, not reward, but reckoning. The torchlight flickers against the damp stone walls, casting long shadows that dance like specters warning you to turn back. But you press onward, pickaxe grip tight, heartbeat thrumming in your ears with that maddening mix of hope and hubris that every miner knows will lead to ruin. This is your 19th dig, your 19th symphony of errors echoing through the cavernous belly of the world. And as you chip away at the gritty obsidian, you can't help but catalog the ghosts of failures past, those 20 brutal lessons written in vaporized inventory slots and crated tunnels, each disaster a scar on your digital psyche. Lava waits. It always does. Remember Sod Cave? That cursed hollow where droplets echoed like a ticking clock counting down to your incineration. You'd calculated the flow rates, mapped the pockets with mathematical precision, assured yourself 5 blocks buffer was sufficient, right until the ceiling groaned and an orange river vomited through the crack, swallowing your enchanted netherite pick like it was nothing, the items dissolving one by one in the molten glow while you stood paralyzed. Boots bubbling against the stone as the heat licked your pixels into oblivion. Survival horror had nothing on that moment. The claustrophobia pressing in as you scrambled backward, inventory screens flashing icons of demise. All your potions and golden apples erased in the time it took to whisper, "Oh no." And that was just incident number 3. Incident 4 happened when you mistook a bubbling basalt delta for solid ground, plunging through a paper-thin crust into a hidden lake of fire beneath the netherrack. Your fire resistance potion just 2 seconds too slow to activate as your flesh peeled away layer by layer. 5 came when a stray enderman teleported into your meticulously constructed obsidian dam project, displacing a critical block and unleashing a flood of lava that rolled downhill toward your storage room like slow-motion Judgment Day. 6 was arrogance, thinking you could outrun a cascade by pillar jumping, only to have the molten tide overtake you mid-leap, your character's death scream harmonizing perfectly with the sizzle of flesh meeting liquid stone. 7 still haunts your nightmares. An abandoned mineshaft you'd repurposed into a temporary base. Walls lined with chests full of ancient debris and enchanted books. You'd missed the single source block weeping silently in the ceiling above your bed. A glowing tear that swelled over hours until midnight when it finally dropped. The impact splash hitting adjacent lava pools you never knew existed, triggering a chain reaction that turned your entire operation into an ashen graveyard by dawn. The rebuild took weeks. And each time you swore you learned. Swore you'd carry more cobblestone for quick barriers, swore you'd memorized fluid dynamics, swore you'd never again underestimate the map's capacity for thermic cruelty. But then came the hissing. Oh God, the hissing. The Creeper archive still makes phantom sounds echo in your headphones. Take Session 12, deep in the diamond-level trenches, moss carpets muffling your footsteps as you rounded a bend, diamond vein glinting just 8 blocks east. And then that sound, the TSSSSSS, close enough to feel in your molars, a wet serpentine gasp blooming behind your left shoulder. You spun, sword drawn on pure adrenaline, but the blast radius was already expanding, a green pixelated annihilation that vaporized the diamonds, your armor, and 3 hours of progress in a concussive burst of static. 12 times this happened, 12 different caves, different circumstances, same inevitable detonation. Sometimes distant, that attenuated to you here through 3 chambers and waterlogged corridors, faint as a whisper, giving you half a second to brace before the shockwave rippled through stone and shattered your carefully placed torches. Other times intimate, like when one spawned inside your very own strip mine tunnel, its death rattle sensing perfectly with your misplaced pickaxe swing, calamity unfolding faster than synaptic response. After explosion number 9, you started developing theories. That they could smell vaulted ceilings, that they gravitated toward redstone or deposits, that your world's seed was cursed with a creeper affinity algorithm. You even tried psychological warfare, plastering walls with paintings of cats in a futile attempt to ward off their green-bodied wrath. Didn't work, just gave you horror show moments where kitty eyes watched judgmentally as another blast shredded through your latest base redesign, and the reconstructions. Endless reconstructions, each identical to the last, replacing oak planks and furnaces like some Sisyphean punishment coded by Mohang themselves. Through all this, the caves themselves became your maze, your minotaur, shifting labyrinth designed to break your spirit. 8 times you entered tunnel systems with such perfect geometric repetition that time lost meaning. Left, right, center branches diverging into left, right, center eternally twisting back on themselves until moss covered cobblestone became your only deity. You learned to read vertigo-inducing patterns, how certain lichen favored east-facing walls, how dripstone clusters pointed vaguely downward, how abandoned torch sconces could be breadcrumbs if positioned just right, until session 14, when you ventured too greedily into a sprawling aquifer network and your iron supply ran dry mid-tunnel. No compass, no coordinates, just panic rising as your oxygen bubbles dwindled and the water pressed in from all sides. That frantic clawing at gravel and sandstone while your health ticked down with mocking slowness. Those final seconds watching the screen blur into hypoxia before respawning miles away. Your best gear forever entombed in blue-filtered gloom. Yet the cruelest blows came when diamonds were nearly yours. 6 veins abandoned 1 block too soon. That moment when your focus wavers and you pivot away only to see the telltale cyan glint in peripheral vision as you tunnel past. Once it happened mid-chorus fruit teleportation mishap. Another time during a cave-in emergency escape where diamonds flashed beneath crashing gravel like a taunt. 3 times diamonds drowned, poor water flow calculations flooding veins before retrieval, leaving you floating above submerged treasures like some maritime ghost. Inventory slots defiled by useless cod instead of crystalline wealth. Then portal confusion, that harrowing nether expedition where you mistook shimmering quartz for diamonds through heat-distorted air. Hauling 10 stacks back through the gateway before realizing your error under the overworld sun. The cold realization dawning as night fell and zombies moaned outside your quartz-plastered folly. Each failure stacked like geological strata, layers of hubris, desperation, faulty math, and bad luck compacting into diamond-grade pressure, until the 20th attempt. Until you stood deep in bedrock embrace, scarred by lava ghosts and creeper echoes, navigating by muscle memory through panic tunnels burned into your hippocampus. You mind left where instinct said right, swung the pick 1 extra time through exhaustion. And there it bloomed, 8 perfect gemps glittering in torchlight like ice on fire. Your hands shaking so hard you misclicked 3 times before harvesting began. The victory tasted of dust and blood and 17 ruined pickaxes, a symphony of failure finally crescendoing into triumph. The diamonds weren't a reward, you realized they were a receipt. The screen flickers to life with a familiar wash of pixelated blue moonlight spilling across blocky mountains that stretch toward an infinite starfield. Your avatar standing at the mouth of a cave carved into the Earth's digital ribcage. A diamond pickaxe glimmers in your hand not as a tool, but as a question. We descend together into the obsidian embrace of the mineshaft, each step downward an echo of older descents Plato's cave, Dante's rings, The subway stares at midnight when the city above drowns in its own neon heartbeat except here. The walls are cobblestone and the torches burn without smoke. Listen to that rhythm, the tinny percussion of pixel against pixel. 3 quick strikes and then the crumbling sigh of bedrock relinquishing coal or iron or nothing at all. There's a zen in this repetition they never tell you about. A metronome for the modern psyche tuning itself between Wi-Fi signals and existential dread. What are we digging for, really? Digital diamonds facets cut not from carbon, but from binary decisions, envy green blocks that glimmer with manufactured rarity. Does their value live in the code or the collective hallucination of 10 million players dreaming of netherite armor? Your inventory balloons open, 27 slots brimming with dirt. Gravel, redstone dust like powdered rust. Consider the weight, not of pixels, but of possession itself, this insistence that even in a world where matter is summoned from air, we compartmentalize our holdings like Victorian librarians cataloging dust. Cobblestone multiplies in your wake. A geological entropy you'll craft into stairs or walls or leave abandoned in chests labeled junk. And isn't that the joke? The universe's favorite prank on our mortal hunger for meaning. The more we extract, the more the byproducts accumulate. Pyramids of unnecessary stone mirroring landfills choking on styrofoam and regret. Ours bleed like mined redstone, or no windows hear only the circadian rhythm of torch placements and zombie groans echoing through adjacent caverns. Time warps one. The task is circular. Swing, crack, collect, repeat. Compare this to dental waiting rooms or airport terminals, those purgatories where clocks melt like Dolly's watches. But in the mineshaft, the distortion feels intentional, almost sacred. You click until the mouse pad warms beneath your palm, chasing veins of iron that promise progress but deliver only the next corridor, the next shadow-draped hollow where creepers bloom like poisonous mushrooms. There's no grand dungeon here. No princess in a bastion, just the recursive act of excavation itself. Bedrock waits at the bottom. That impenetrable slate pixelating into abstraction when you stare too long. Try to mine it and the game scolds you like a parent catching a child digging to China with a plastic shovel. Unbreakable foundation, unreachable depth, a cosmic punchline. The only certainty in this layered universe is an absolute limit we can't bypass, glitching against its black surface like moths against porch bulbs. Down here, the soundtrack isn't music, it's geology composing itself. Stone yields with a crunch like popcorn kernels. Lava belches wet velour growls from somewhere beyond the granite veil. These noises seep through headphones into the liminal space between waking and sleep, sensing with the viewer's own breath in darkened rooms. Soundstage theory whispers that dream audio isn't layered but flattened. Every scream and whisper occupying the same psychic plane. Isn't that what happens after 6 hours of mining? The drip of underground springs merges with your roommate's faucet across the hall. A skeleton's rattle becomes the radiator's death rattle. Blurred edges. Hunger gnaws both the avatars and yours, 2 sets of stomachs growling in stereo. You devour virtual bread while your free hand gropes for pretzels on the desk, crumbs scattering across keyboards like alms for the digital gods. Sustenance rituals separated by screens yet bound by identical urgency. Lava pools glow ahead, their incandescent swirls casting Rorschach shadows on granite. They illuminate nothing practical, no ores, no exits, only the warm, false comfort of a hearth. 20th century families clustered around radios. We orbit pixels mimicking fire, the primal trance unbroken by the medium's transformation. Click, 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 a cobalt glimmer stutters in the torchlight. Diamond or holy grail rendered in cyan and teal. Adrenaline surges, isn't that absurd? Your pulse jackhammers for arranged pixels. An electric jolt anthropologists will dissect in centuries to come. Asterisk, look how they trembled before algorithmic treasures. Asterisk, the pickaxe strikes. Left click held down like a vow, durability barred chipping away second by second. Each swing costs you something irreplaceable, not in-game resources, but life force siphoned from your finite reserve of midnights. This is capitalist catechism recast as leisure. Grind to earn. Earn to upgrade, upgrade to grind anew. Achievement culture's infinite ladder. But here's the rub. When the diamond cluster finally shatters into collectible gems, victory tastes like ash. Inventory updated, net worth increased. But the cavern stretches onward identically. The next mineral vein already humming its siren song. Nothing changed. Nothing gained, only the illusion of progress reflected in a backlit LCD screen. How many hours were spent? How many real-world sunrises were missed for this? The pickaxe handle grows heavy in your avatar's hand, or is that your own fingers cramping? Epiphany arrives not as a thunderclap, but as a slow lava flow. Bedrock will never yield, diamonds will never fill the void they're dug from. And the cave has no exit because you brought the labyrinth with you, coiled inside your skull like fossilized serpent. The S key glows like a sanctuary lantern. One tap and the world unseens diamonds freeze mid-rotation. Lava pauses mid-bubble. Zombies petrify in eternal pursuit. Your chair creaks as you lean back. Beyond the window, real moonlight slicks across pavement puddles. Pillows beckon with their cotton gravity. You don't save your progress. Let the diamonds stay buried. Let creepers guide their hollows. The true treasure was always waiting where the pixels ended. The soft oblivion of a mattress. The stillness between heartbeats. The cosmic joke understood at last. Logging off isn't surrender. It's the final act of mining, digging through layers of engineered engagement to strike not diamond, but the unobtainable ore we carry in our chests each second of each real and fragile day. Presence? The flickering torchlight casts long shadows across the stone walls as you stand at the mouth of the new tunnel, your pickaxe feeling unnaturally heavy in your hands, not because of its weight, but because of the gravity of what comes next. This isn't just another hole in the ground. It's a potential tomb waiting for the slightest mistake. A yawning darkness that could swallow you whole if you don't respect its silent rules. Breathe deep that damp underground air, heavy with the scent of iron and distant smoke, because what follows isn't mere mining. It's a sacred dance with danger where every step is choreographed by paranoia and every precaution is written in the blood of those who came before us. Open that weathered leather journal to the first page where 20. 7 precise checkmarks await your trembling pen. Because we don't dig here until we've proven to the very stones beneath our boots that we've earned the right to disturb their ancient slumber. Let your eyes trace each line of the safety manifest like a monk illuminating scripture. Confirm structural integrity scans in triplicate. Test airflow currents with goose-down feathers in 3 separate shaft locations. Chant the coordinates of the emergency rendezvous point until the numbers sing themselves in your sleep. This ritual takes 47 minutes minimum for seasoned professionals, longer for the wise who understand that haste is just slow-motion suicide underground, only when the 27th checkmark kisses the parchment do you reach for the first torch. But not before activating the triple redundancy verification system where 3 separate team members must each place identical torches at mathematically calculated intervals while the 4th confirms alignment through a grid of colored lenses that turn the tunnel into a constellation of safety beacons. Watch now as Old Man Henderson from the east shaft pulls his ancient brass protractor from oiled leather, measuring the angle of illumination overlap until the light patterns merge into seamless daylight, missed by half a degree, and the shadow pockets could harbor horrors no one wants to name. And just when you think the ceremony is complete, the foreman's whistle pierces the air for emergency plug drills, sending 20 miners scrambling like clockwork ants to erect cobblestone barricades against imaginary lava surges. Their hands moving in practice panic until the practice wall stands 6 layers thick and still sweating from adrenaline. This is how we begin, not with a pickaxe's strike, but with the solemn understanding that every granule of disturbed earth could be our last. Descending becomes a slow ballet of calculated madness where each step downward requires 5 preparations upward. We carve our spiral staircases with obsessive curvature, each clockwise turn measured by compass and plumb line so even a blindfolded miner could find surface air by following the wall's curve with his shoulder. Every 5th block down, we build landing platforms wider than a fallen miner's outstretched arms, each equipped with emergency supply lockers stocked not just with bandages and rations, but with numbered maps showing 7 escape routes in glowing ink before extracting a single lump of coal. Teams of runners lay miles of minicart tracks that curl through the tunnels like metallic serpents, test runs conducted daily with dummies weighted like armored miners. The carts launched at full speed while engineers curse every friction point until escape becomes a roller coaster ride to salvation. But the true genius whispers in the placement of simple oak doors, strategic airlocks that segment the shaft into climate, control chambers where the lazy sway of a cobweb tells experienced eyes whether oxygen runs thin. Veteran miners develop sixth senses for these subtleties, the way torch flames lean greedily towards fresh air currents, how a certain metallic tang coats the tongue when carbon dioxide thickens. Tonight's graveyard shift belongs to young Timothy, his nose perpetually crinkled as he monitors the telltale doors, his notebook filling with pressure readings as meticulously recorded as a ship's log crossing treacherous seas. His candle clock burns down another measured inch, time to rotate shifts before complacency sets in. Danger doesn't knock in the deep dark, it oozes through crevices and materializes in the corner of failing torches. That's why Section 3's protocols transform paranoid fantasies into concrete reality, beginning with the Snow Golem Corps station every 50 meters behind reinforced glass observation bunkers. Watch now as Sergeant Frost Salute conducts his morning inspection, adjusting each golem's pumpkin helmet to regulation angle, measuring snowball caliber against sizing charts, denying sure leave to any construct showing even partial thaw. Their snowball barrages create a relentless percussion echoing through the tunnels, a comforting white noise that means the perimeter holds against green-skinned intruders. But true safety requires self-sufficiency, which is why we carve vast underground arboretums where perpetual daylight from enchanted glowstone feeds wheat fields swaying under artificial breezes. These gardens serve triple duty: nourishment, oxygen recycling, and psychological balm for miners spending months beneath the sky. Chef Borislav tends his subterranean crops wearing Sunday best apron, humming folk songs to the carrots as 6 automatic harvesters click and whore through pre-programmed patterns. Even here, contingency rules. 3 separate seed vaults buried in blast-proof compartments, their locations known only to the senior agricultural officer who sleeps with the cryptographic key fused to a molar. Yet of all survival arts, none receives more obsessive training than the 8-fold path of water bucket mastery. Recruits spend weeks in the surface simulation cavern practicing the sacred steps: stance stabilization, anticipatory wrist flick, gravitational awareness drills, until they can snuff lava flows blindfolded while balancing philosophy texts on their heads. Instructor Grumwald stalks the training grounds with stopwatch and disapproval, his voice echoing off wood stone walls as he barks. Speed without precision is suicide. That phantom lab has already melted your boots off, Timmons. Reset and redeem yourself. When the first diamond glint finally winks from the darkness after months of glacial descent, the true test begins, for this is when wise miners turn reckless, when decades of discipline crumble before crystalline greed. Our protocols transform this moment into ceremonial reverence. Beginning with the extraction distance rule, no tool may touch the coveted vein until a reinforced glass shrine seals it from all atmospheric corruption. Teams of engineers descend in moon landing grandeur, their boots wrapped in sterilized wool as they erect scaffolding to admire the glittering prize from all angles. Geological surveyors murmur into echolocators, mapping every fissure and stress point in the surrounding stone, while librarians record findings on fireproof parchment shielded by vacuum-sealed cases. Only after security lighting bathes the chamber in daylight mimicking brilliance do we permit the sacred tools to approach. Diamond. Tipped extractors mounted on hydraulic arms operated from bomb-proof control rooms 3 tunnels removed. The master miner guiding the process never touches the controls directly. Instead, they manipulate a holographic interface across. References 14,000 possible stress scenarios per second. Each granule of extracted wealth immediately enters molecular tracking systems, its provenance recorded on blockchain ledgers older than some surface civilizations. The last security measure is the most poignant, a simple locket containing a portrait of the miner's family displayed prominently on every control panel, ensuring no diamond sparkle can outshine what truly matters in perpetual darkness. Breathe now. As the final gem transfers to its electromagnetic containment vessel, and realize this isn't just procedure. It's the culmination of humanity's eternal dance with danger, where respect for the darkness becomes brighter than any treasure it hides.